Whale Who Wanted More by Rachel Bright and Jim Field. Under glittering waves of a vast ocean blue, a beautiful world is hidden from view, and there in the cool and the quiet of the deep, a great gentle giant was stirring from sleep. With a hubbub of bubbles he opened one eye and let out a long, lonely, rippling sigh. For when Humphrey awoke he remembered his quest, one that pulled at his heart and pressed at his chest. A life-longing search for, he didn't know what, but he just knew it was something he hadn't yet got. He rifled in shipwrecks and rooted through treasure, scooped pretty shells which he'd polished for pleasure. But whether his haul was enormous or tiny, the next day it just never seemed quite as shiny. So he never felt satisfied, that was for sure, and no matter the bounty, he just wanted more. But the more that he amassed, the more loathsome he got. He knew it was wrong, but he just couldn't stop. So he drifted without any sense of direction till his wanderings washed him one day to perfection. A rainbow of reefs kissed with speckles of sun, where all kinds of critters hung out and had fun. They were glistening fishes, crustaceans galore. There were mollusks and dungongs and urchins and more. The coral was studded with flotsam and jetsam. Humphrey just wanted to dive in and get some. Meanwhile, on this reef, once a magical home, chaos and trouble, it bubbled and foamed, since with so many creatures all crammed in one place, there were too many neighbours and not enough space. They all bickered and snippered, they pushed and they shoved, and so did not notice the shadow above, except one with a curious stalk of an eye, which luckily always gazed up at the sky. A crab with quick wit and a brilliant mind, Crystal was smart and eternally kind. "Look up," shouted Crystal, "look up and look out, the whale who wants more is out and about." But all were so busy with one gripe or another, they hadn't got time to look out for each other. So Humphrey he plunged in the noise of the brawl, to fill up his longing once and for all. "Help!" they all screamed, gripped by panic and fear. But as everyone froze, Crystal's thinking was clear. "Whale!" shouted Crystal. "Whale, you must stop!" She yelled it so loud that she thought she might pop. "You are the whale who always wants more, but what are you really wanting it for?" Well, Humphrey was utterly taken aback. The feisty young crab stopped him still in his tracks. He thought very hard for the first time in years as he gathered his voice, so he fought back some tears. "I don't know," whispered Humphrey. "I think that my goal was to feel all filled up and, well, happy and whole." "You know," replied Crystal, "I think you might find that happiness comes when you're caring and kind. Perhaps," she suggested, with one pincer uncurled, "you might have a gift you could give to the world." Humphrey he hung on her every word, and deep in his soul a melody stirred. He remembered a lullaby taught by his mother, echoed through time from one whale to another. "I was given one gift when I was brand new, but I've never had someone to give that gift to." Then he opened his mouth, let go of his doubt, and an achingly beautiful tune tumbled out. The turtles they circled, the dolphins were playing, even the seaweed was dancing and swaying. And as harmony touched every one who was there, they remembered that balance takes patience and care. They'd been fighting and poking and griping so long, they'd forgotten they all sang the same ocean song. Humphrey he knew then he wanted to stay, as at last all his longings they'd faded away. From then on all was rhythm and peace on the reef. For one young clever crab it was quite a relief. She befriended the whale who perfected the knack of taking the time to give some things back. Yes, that whale stopped collecting and made a great start at doing the things that filled up his heart. So perhaps true contentment is not about stuff, since we all need so little to have quite enough. Hi, so today we are going to have a look at some common exception words. So these are words that appear really regularly in what we read and what we want to write, but they don't necessarily follow the spelling rules that we would like them to. Some of them we can remember because there are a group of them that are similar, and some of them have little rhymes and things. Some of them it's just that we need to remember which is the tricky bit to look out for. So let's start with one of my favourite words. Let's start with the word because. Now, I use the word because a lot because I like to explain why things happen. It's a really good skill to have. And so it's a really great word to use, but it's also quite a difficult word to spell. However, I have a little trick. I have a little phrase that I say, and the beginning of each word, the first letter of each word, spells the word because. So, let me show you. Big elephants can always upset small elephants. And there we have it, it's spelled correctly. Big elephants can always upset small elephants. And if I remember the little phrase, then I just have to think what the first letter of each of those words is, and then I know that because will always be spelt right. And I know it's a really tricky word, so I always keep that in the back of my mind. I find that one particularly useful. The next one that I want us to have a look at is the word any, because see, I told you I use that word a lot, because the word any absolutely sounds like it should start with an E, and it really doesn't. So the word any by itself is A-N-Y. That's the word any. And then we can use that to help us with some other words as well. So we can use any on the end of the word many. And all that we have to do is add an M at the front for the word many. Now, in the word any, of course, it's this bit here is the bit that we need to remember. We need to learn by heart, because the end of the word, E, that's exactly how we would look to spell that normally, but it's the A that in this case makes an E sound. So that's the bit that we have to remember. My next set of words start with the word old. Old. And I always think that the word old sounds like it should have loads of letters in it, but it really doesn't. So the word old just has 3. It has an old. Old. I feel like it sounds like there should be more than that, but it's the O that we have to remember makes the O bit, and then the old is as it is. So that bit there, we have to remember that makes the O bit, and then the old is at the end. And then from old, we can also get gold, hold, cold, and told. Should we have a go at writing these ones down? You can join in too. So gold is just the G first. Told, just the T first. Hold, and cold. Once we've got the old bit, there are lots of words that we can get that have a similar ending. Okay, my next set of words have another silly little phrase that go with them. And the first one that I'm going to do is the word would. Oh, you lucky duck. Oh, you lucky duck. Now, I have to remember the w before my oh, you lucky duck, but there's a whole range of oh, you lucky duck words. So we've got would, we could also have the word should, and we could have the word could. Should we have a go at writing them? So should would be SH for the sh, and then oh, you lucky duck. And then could would be k, oh, you lucky duck. It's daft, but if it helps us to remember, then who cares? So would, and then should, and then could all follow the same rule, and we can use that little silly little oh, you lucky duck to help us. Now the next one is, there are 2 words that come up quite a lot that start with this making a. So we've got who, yeah, and we've got whole. So this is the bit here that we just have to remember that sometimes it does make a, often it makes a w, but in that case it doesn't. In this case it makes a, so we've got who and we've got whole, and in actual fact the rest of it does work because split digraph, isn't it? So the rest of it does work, it's just the at the beginning that doesn't. Then the next two words are weird because they start with capital letters, and we know that is unfamiliar. Well done, Mr. And then do you know how to do Mrs? Yeah, well done. Capital M and then R and S. So Mr. and Mrs. And if we were writing letters and things like that, we would certainly need that. But it's not as it sounds at all. It's MR for Mr. and MRS represents Mrs. Okay, we're back onto a little group of words next, and they end in "eind." But in this case, we just have to remember that the I is just an I by itself. So we'll start with the word find. And this is the bit that we're going to remember. The it makes an I sound. So we've got find, but we could also do kind, mind, behind. Can you have a go at writing those? Kind. Yeah, it's K is kicking. Kind. Behind is the word be, but eh. And then hind, yeah, well done. And it's the I making an I sound in that. And it doesn't have to be a capital. That's a word by itself. It is a lowercase I, but it makes an I sound. That's what we hear. Nice. And then kind of very, very similar. We have child. Yeah, child, which again is an I, but it has the old after it, and so it doesn't sound quite the same. And from child, we can also get the word wild, and that's spelt in the same way. It's the it is an I sound. So it's that bit there that we are going to remember. Be really careful doing that because it's not the dot that's on top of the I. I've not turned that into a love heart. And so yeah, from child we can also get wild because that's what we're remembering there, that the I does indeed sometimes make an I sound. Lots of the time it doesn't, but sometimes it does. Then we have the difference between the word you and the word your. So two words that are super similar. One because I'm talking about you, and one because I'm talking about your things. So something that belongs to you. And you and your both start with the word you. And with the word you, we have to remember that the oo is not an O and an O like it should be, like it sounds like it should be. It's an O and a U. And if we start with the word you, and we remember that this bit here is the bit we have to learn by heart. This bit is the oo in this word, it's O-U. And then your is you with an R on the end. So from you, we can very easily get to your. It's the way that I still remember today. Your is you with an R on the end. And then my next two words are words that so many people find tricky to distinguish between the two. So let me write them both for you, and then we will work out which one is which. So we have the word where, and we have the word were. Where has a H in it. Okay, so where as in where are you? And were as in were you at the park? So where has a H in. Other than that, they're spelt the same, but where has a H in, and that's really important to remember. It's also made trickier when we have the contraction we're, because that kind of sounds similar too, which is why I think it gets so complicated. But where has a H in, okay? Oh, we're whizzing through these. You're doing a really, really great job at keeping up. Okay, we have come, and in this one, it's this bit here that we have to remember. The makes the sound. And then we have the words from there. We can also have the words love and some. Both follow exactly the same rule. So love would be like this, and some would be like that. They all follow exactly the same rules. Now, the next word is one of those words that just turns up all of the time. And some people would say the, and some people would say the, depending on whether or not we've got an American accent or not. But the word the is super straightforward. So we've got the th at the beginning, which is T and H. And then it's just an E on the end. That's the word the. My next one is another one that appears all the time, but is actually quite tricky to remember. And I always remember it as writes like was, reads like was. So, writes like was, reads like was. And then the other one that is similar to that is this one. It's this bit here that we have to remember by heart. Now this word says said, but technically an A and an I make an A sound. So I will say to myself, oh, said. I don't say that out loud, but it helps me to remember that it's the A then the I in the word said. That's the bit we have to learn by heart, the A and the I, and the rest of it fits into our normal rule. Then we have the word one. Now the word one doesn't follow our conventions at all. It doesn't start with a W like I would like it to. So the word one is actually written like this. And then from that we can get the word once. So that's one, and we can get the word once from it. It's not a s, it's a k, like when we use the split digraph I, and then the s is a k there. That's what it is here, and it comes in here. So from one, we can change one letter to get the word once. And then there are 3 more words that we're going to have a look at, and they all start with every. Now, this in itself isn't a million miles out of a spelling rule, because we've got every. And from every, we can get every one, if we remember how we spell the word one. And we can get every body, but after body, everybody. So that's very much a whistle-stop tour of some various different common exception words, the bits that we have to remember in order to get them right, some little hints and tricks, some rhymes or things that we can say. There's loads, but these are some. Maybe coming up with your own little rhymes to remember some of them would be really helpful. Sometimes just practicing again and again and again is a good way of remembering. It's completely up to you. Good luck. Whatever you do with the rest of your day, have a great one. Bye-bye. Hi. So today we are going to have a look at this. Subtraction, take away, subtract, count back, minus, less than, all mean the same thing. And that's what we're having a look at today. And today we are going to have a look at subtracting 2-digit numbers from 2-digit numbers. So we're going to look at subtracting tens and ones numbers from tens and ones numbers. There are lots of different ways that we could do this. We could do this using mental methods. We could do this using written methods. Some written methods are easier than others. So today we are going to look at one mental method and one method that is a hybrid between the two, and one completely written method. So let's get started with counting back in tens, and then we'll do some counting back in ones, because both of those are going to be super important if we are going to nail subtraction. Let's start by counting back in tens. Are you ready? We'll start at 100 and we'll count back to 0. 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 0. Well done. What about if it was 55? 55, 45, 35, 25, 15, 5. Well done. That was so tricky. But you remembered the pattern where it's only the tens digit that changes and the ones stay the same. Amazing. Well done.
And we also have to be able to count back in ones. If we can't do that, then we can't do subtraction. So let's start at 79 and we'll count back to 70. So 79, 78, 77, 76, 75, 74, 73, 72, 71, 70. Exactly. And basically we're counting backwards. As long as we know how to do 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we can count back from any number because we just use that, but with tens in front of it. That's what we're going to use today to help us. So let's start by looking at 32 take away 11. We'll do 32 take away 11. Now, I could do this in my head by doing 30 take away 10, 2 take away 1, and then working out what we've got left. So 30 take away 10 equals 20, 2 take away 1 equals 1. That's not how you do a 1, equals 1. So then I have 21. So 32 take away 11, 21. So I could do it by taking the tens away and then the ones away, and then I could put them back together. Now, a method that I really like to use is looking for ways to break through the tens barrier because it's easier to do that. So if I'd got 33 and I was going to take away 15, then what I would do is I would take 3 away first because it is far easier to take 3 away and get to 30. And then I can deal with everything else. So what I then have to consider is how my 15 is made up. So it's made up of 10. And then if I want 3, it's made up of 3 and 2 to make the 5. So I've got 10, I've got 3, and I've got 2. So I'm going to do 33, take away 3, because I know that gets me to 30. And that makes my life a bit easier. And then, so that's got rid of this one here, look. And then I can take a 10 number away from a tens number really easily. So I'm going to do that one next. So I'm going to do 30, take away 10, which I know to be 20. And then that gets rid of that one there. And then all I have left to do is I've got 20, take away 2. So 20, 19, 18. So 33, take away 15 equals 18. We'll do another one like that and I'll show you. It's certainly not the speediest or the most straightforward way, but it is a really good way of getting a really good understanding of what's happening when we are subtracting two two-digit numbers from each other. Let's see if we can do 44 take away 29. Okay, so 44 take away 29. So first of all, before I do anything else, I'm going to break that 29 up into the 20. And I know, because it's 44, I want to break it into 4 and whatever else is left. And I know that 4 and 5 make 9. So over here, I have broken down my 29 into 20, 4 and 5. And then I do 44, take away 4 equals 40. And I'll get rid of that one there. And then I'm going to take the tens away because it's easier to take that away from a tens number than it is anything else. So I'm going to do 40, take away 20. Yeah, I know that 20 and 20 make 40, so I know that's 20. And then all I'm left with is the 5 to take away. So I do 20, take away 5, which leaves me with 15. So I can break into that tens number, then I can take away any tens that I need to, and then I can just round and adjust to do the last bit. But I think if I'm going to do that, then having it laid out, and for me, having this bit over here where I see how my number is broken down is really useful, because otherwise I would forget where I was up to, and I don't think that I would get through all of the steps. So we do one more. You can do it. We'll do 61, take away 34. 61, take away 34. So I suggest working out what 34 is made up of if you want to use the 1 to break through the tens, which is what I would do because it just makes life easier. So I would be starting off with 61, take away 1, which gives me 60. But over here, look, 34 is made up of 30, 1 and 3. So now I've done the first bit, I'm going to get rid of that number there. And then I'm going to get rid of these tens because it's easier to take those away. So 60, take away 30. Now I know this already, but if I didn't, I could just count back in tens. So 60, 50, 40, 30. And then from 30, I still have to remember to take this last digit here away. This 3 that was part of my 34 still needs to be taken away. So I can do the same thing. 30, 29, 28, 27. So 61, take away 34 was 27. Now, I think that it would probably be easier to use an empty number line. It means I don't have to break down that number that I'm subtracting in quite the same way. I can just use my counting backwards skills to help me. So let's start by doing 54, take away 17. Now, if I'm using an empty number line for subtraction, then my first number goes at the right-hand side because I'm going to be counting backwards. So my number goes here because I'm going to be counting backwards. And then all I have to do is think 17 is made up of 10 and 7. So it's 1 big jump and then 7 little jumps in exactly the same way as it would be if we used it for addition, but we're going to count backwards, not forwards. So 1 big jump and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little jumps. And then I can count back in tens because I know that the ones digit stays the same and it's only the tens digit that changes. So I know that 54, take away 10 is 44 because 40 comes before 50. So I'm going to write that in there. And then all I have to do is switch to counting in ones backwards. So 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37. So I can do 54 take away 17 by doing the 44 and then 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37. As always, I find this super easy. I find the drawing and dotting each one as I do it means that I'm aware of which ones I've used. So if I don't think the answer's quite right, I can double check. And if there's one that doesn't have a dot in, I'll know that I've miscounted. Or if there's one that's got 2 dots in, I'll know that I've miscounted. So for me, this is a super clear and easy way of showing it, which I just think is always really useful. It's always really useful to be able to go back and spot your own mistakes. And we can do this whether it's 1 10 or whether it's lots of tens. So let's try with 64 and we'll take away 21. So this time, empty number line 64 on the right hand side of the empty number line because we're always going to count backwards. And then 21 is made up of 2 tens and 1 left over, 1 1. So 2 big jumps and 1 little jump. So your jumps should look like that. Incredible. And then count backwards in tens. So from 64 we go to 54. And you can always, if you're not 100% sure, you can always write the ones digit in, the 4 that stays the same, and then you're just looking for like 1 less than the 6 because that just goes down by 1, doesn't it? So in actual fact, if you're writing it down, you don't even necessarily need to know it by rote. You can use the pattern to help. And then 44 would be the next one, and then it's just 1 less than that. So from 44 we just count back 1, so it would be 43. So we can use our number line. There we go, look, I've added them in. Now I would always add in the number as I'm counting back in tens for exactly the same reason as I would put the dots in if I'd got lots of ones. Putting the numbers in as I count back in tens means that I can go back and see really quickly if that's somewhere that I've gone wrong, because it's somewhere I'm likely to go wrong. So if I've started counting back in ones by accident, then I'd be able to spot that there if I write them in. Or maybe if I'd missed the tens number out or something like that. writing the tens numbers in as you go just makes it a lot easier to see where it is that you have gone wrong if you have gone wrong. Hi, so today we are having a look at habitats and how the different animals that live there have adapted to suit their different habitats. So the logical place to start here is in the ocean, because the story that I read this week was the whale who wanted more. He just wanted all of the things, and they just didn't bring him happiness in the end. If you haven't seen the story, go and watch it. It's a brilliant, brilliant story, and it reminds us of what's important. So I thought we would start in the ocean. Now, there are lots of different things that live in the ocean, both animals and plants. The plants are alive as well. But the plants that live in the ocean are different to the plants that we might find on land or that we might find in a river, because the plants that live in the ocean are what we call brackish. Can you say that? Brackish. They live in brackish waters. They live in salty waters. They have adapted to live in salty waters. So seaweed and coral, you can see coral at the bottom of the picture there, are great examples of living plants that live in salty water. There are lots of animals that live in the ocean, and I guess probably the main adaptation that they need for that is the fact that they have gills that mean that they can breathe under the water. Without that, they wouldn't really be able to live in the ocean, would they? If they had lungs and they always needed to breathe air, then they wouldn't be able to stay under the water for very long. So they wouldn't be able to live in the bottom of the ocean or within the coral reefs. Wouldn't really work for them, would it? So that's the main adaptation that the fish need in order to live in the ocean. Obviously not only fish that live in the ocean, there are plants and other forms of wildlife there too. Okay, let's move on then. Let's have a look at this one. Do you know where this is? Absolutely, well done. This is the desert. Now, what can you tell about the desert? Yeah, well done. It's extremely hot, and there's not a lot of water there. Now, I can tell that, I know that as a fact, but I can tell that from the picture because there's not a lot of plants growing there. Plants have to really adapt. They have to be a totally different type of plant to live in the desert because they don't have a great water supply. So, and because it's so hot as well. So they have to be very well adapted to be able to live without a steady water supply. Now, I say it's very hot, and in the summer it is, but it can be super cold in the winter too. The temperatures in the winter can go below freezing. So it can be really cold in the wintertime. But the animals that live there have to adapt to live in very hot temperatures and to live for long periods of time without water. So camels are a really good example of that. But I often hear the misconception that a camel stores water in their humps and that's why they have them. And in actual fact, that isn't true. Although I can sort of see the logic because there's not a lot of water around. But in actual fact, camels store fat in their humps. So their humps are fat, and that fat is full of nutrients. It provides the camel with nutrients. So you can sort of see why people would think that maybe they are full of water because it's water that they are lacking, but in actual fact it's nutrients that they need, and that is what is stored in their humps. So the animals that live there have to adapt to avoid the hot temperatures. Now, generally, those hot temperatures happen in the daytime. So lots of animals that you find in the desert, particularly snakes and things like that, are active at night time when it's a bit cooler. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, so they will regulate their body temperature by moving into the shade to cool down or into the sun to keep warm. That is equally the same for lots of the other reptiles that you would find out in the desert. There are an awful lot of reptiles that do live out there, and that is the case for them. So lots and lots of the animals that we find in the deserts will either bury themselves to keep cool, or they will come out, they will come out during the nighttime hours in order to avoid the sunshine that is in the heat of the day. You'll also notice that lots of the desert animals are browns or creams or like sandy colours, so that they camouflage with their surroundings. And that's something that's super important in an area where you don't have an awful lot of greenery or shrubs or things like that. To blend in with your surroundings, to camouflage with them, is a really good way of keeping safe from predators, from things that might want to eat you. Let's move on. Let's have a little look at the rainforest. So in the rainforest, what can you see? There are lots of trees here. Yes, there's a big canopy. That's a good word. That's what the trees at the top, they come together and they form a canopy, and that canopy can form really good shelter for lots of animals, stops lots of the elements from getting into them if they live lower down. You will also find the forest floor, lots of bugs and things like that live down there, very well protected from the canopy above. The animals that live in the rainforest then need to adapt themselves mainly because of their predators. So you might find a spider monkey in the rainforest, and you'll notice that a spider monkey has long, strong limbs. It has long arms, long legs. They're very strong to help it to climb. You might find a sloth in the rainforest. Now, a sloth uses camouflage and movement, because a sloth is a super slow moving animal, and if you move really, really slowly, then you're less likely to disturb the things that are around you, and you're less likely to be noticed. Therefore, you are a little bit safer from those predators that live in the rainforest. There are lots of other ways that the animals in the rainforest have adapted to look after themselves. Camouflage is a really good one. There are lots of, especially bugs and reptiles and things like that, there are lots of those that do camouflage themselves. There are also lots of animals in the rainforest that mimic something else. So they might mimic the call of another animal to try and put off the predators. They also limit their diet to something that not a lot of other animals eat. And this means that they have a ready supply of food, because they're not all trying to fight for the same things. Because obviously there are lots of animals that live in the rainforest, so food is limited. But by going for a different thing to other animals that live there, they will have a ready supply of food. Clever. Some of these animals are poisonous. There are lots of frogs, particularly, that we find in the rainforest that are poisonous, and they'll make themselves really brightly coloured as a warning to the other animals that live there that they are indeed poisonous. If the predators chose to eat them, then it would make them unwell, it might well kill them. So that's a really good way of those animals protecting themselves. They will have to adapt to the environment that they are living in, but it's not quite as clear cut as the ocean, where they needed gills, or the desert, where they needed to be able to last for long periods of time without water, and they needed to be able to survive the heat, because the rainforest has so many different microclimates within it. Because we talked about earlier, there's the canopy, which is all of the trees that are at the top, and there are lots of animals that live up there. There are lots of animals that live up there for their own protection, so they can't be hunted. There are lots of big animals that live on the forest floor, but there are also millions of types of bugs and reptiles and things like that also live on the forest floor, where all of the leaves fall and they start to decompose, and that's a great environment for them. But equally, while some rainforests might be really hot and sticky. They're certainly not all. So it's a bit more complicated. You basically find a huge range of animals that live in rainforests, and they will change the way that they live to suit their needs. So basically they're trying to keep themselves safe and they're trying to keep themselves fed. Okay, let's have a look at the polar regions then. So my picture here is of polar bears. So I have a grown polar bear and a polar bear cub. And then let's have a think about what we think they might do to adapt to their environment. Because they obviously need to live somewhere that's very, very cold. So they're living in a really cold environment. So they need fur. They need thick fur. They need thick skin. They have a layer of fat underneath that to keep them warm. They are generally snow-coloured so that they can... Yeah, you're right. So that they can camouflage. And then they have long claws and flat padded paws that are really good for grip and for climbing. But equally that are great for hunting, because they'll need to hunt in order to eat. And they are the type of animals that hibernate. So over the coldest winter months, the animals that live in the polar regions hibernate. So they eat lots and lots and lots beforehand, and then they hibernate in order to protect themselves, because it's incredibly cold throughout the winters. And like in the desert, where the animals wouldn't survive in the daytime if they were out in the heat, the animals wouldn't survive if they were out all winter. But rather than it being a daytime and nighttime thing, it's more of a winter and the rest of the year type thing. So they can survive because they hibernate, they adapt the way that they live in order to fit. Wow. I think that we did some really good thinking about different habitats, who might live there and how they might have adapted themselves in order to survive. Why their habitat meets their needs. I have one more picture and I'm going to leave it with you as a thought for today. This is a forest. Not a rainforest necessarily. This is a forest. It is the sort of forest that we call a temperate forest. So it's not super cold or super hot. It's a temperate forest, and it's the sort of forest that you might find in Europe. And there's lots of space for things to grow here. So you'll find lots of wild flowers and mosses, and like berry bushes and things like that, amongst lots of trees. But the trees are deciduous, so the leaves drop, and they often have a little bit more space around them. I wonder who might live here, and I wonder if you can think about why you think they would live there. Good luck, but whatever you do with the rest of your day, have a brilliant one. Bye-bye.
Hello Angel students, today I would like us to talk about confidence. Yay, confidence, because that is something a lot of people struggle with, and it doesn't have an age or a cut-off point, you know, where all of a sudden you'll be really confident. It's something that you nurture, it's something that you pay attention to, and it's something that you challenge yourself to always call upon. It's there. We just have to bring it to the forefront. We just have to make sure it's seen and it's heard. Sometimes, like when we're in a situation and it feels like we don't have a voice or we can't say anything, and at that moment in time, it's usually the most important moment when we really do need to say something. So let's get into confidence and how we can improve it, why it's important to our emotional health and well-being, and how we can maintain it, even in times when we feel like it's ran away and left us. Remember, it's always there. So what do we need confidence for anyway? Well, confidence helps us to face challenges, it helps us build strong relationships, and it allows us to embrace opportunities. I want to begin with why confidence is so important for our emotional health and well-being. Confidence allows you to more willingly step out of your comfort zone. So, that place where you know exactly what to do, you know exactly who might be there, you know exactly what might be said, you know exactly what's required of you. But when it's time to try something new and come out of your comfort zone, that's where we want some confidence, because that's life. Experiences, and you want to be able to experience things fully by showing up completely. And you do that by having the confidence to say yes. Yes, I'm going to try something new and I'm going to give it my all. Confidence is necessary when building relationships with other people. It gives you the ability to communicate clearly. It allows you to make sure you are both seen and heard and understood. And express yourself authentically. So there's no need for you to pretend to be somebody else. There's no need for you to wear a mask and do things or say things or behave in a way that you think is acceptable for other people. You are your authentic self because you know the greatness that comes from you. You know what you are capable of. You know what you bring to the relationship and the connection. So with that, whenever anything occurs, whenever anything is happening that's going to be a vibe, an event, something that you want to be a part of, you have the confidence to go forward and grab that opportunity to further nurture and enhance that relationship. And as well as enhancing the relationship with others, confidence is great for yourself, for you, solely for you and your emotional health and well-being, because it helps you to develop a very healthy and positive self-image and a way of accepting yourself, because you know that the confidence that you have is capable of allowing you to do almost anything that you would like to do and experience. Because when you're confident, you are better equipped. You have all the tools necessary to deal with any setbacks, any criticism, and you can handle stress like a pro. Because you know nothing is worth worrying over. Why? Because you are confident enough to know that you can solve anything. There are no permanent setbacks. There are, however, what is this situation trying to show me? What is it trying to teach me? And then you have the confidence to seek the answer and figure it out. Confidence allows you to participate in healthy discussion, and it's not about who's right, who's wrong. It's just about learning. It's all about perspective. Nothing has a meaning until you put a meaning to it. So when you have the confidence to have certain discussions, that opens up your mind to many perspectives. And then you decide what feels right for you. Okay, based on research as well. Please don't just allow anybody, including me, to tell you anything without doing your own research. If you feel like, I'm not sure that makes full sense to me, please always do think for yourself. So let's get into some tips on how to be confident. Oh, I like this one because I love to write and I do love a list. Make a list of all of the things that you love and like about yourself. What are you good at? What are you great at? What can you do like nobody else? What do you like and love about yourself? That's the first thing I want you to do. Next one, use positive self-talk. I can do this. I'm absolutely capable. I'm amazing at this. I'm the best at, you understand? Positive self-talk. But a bonus to this, whenever anything comes into your head such as I can't, immediately grab it and turn it around into positive self-talk. We all have a little bit of, that I can't chatter going on in our head. But the key, and what those who are good at mastering positive self-talk have taught themselves, is how to turn that around immediately. What might be useful for you to do, another list, is to write down some of the thoughts that come into your head on maybe a regular basis, or maybe specifically when you have a task at hand and something to do. Some of those negative self-talk that pop up. Oh, this is going to take too long. Oh, I don't like doing this. I'm not good at this. Okay. So say you had, this is going to take too long. I'm not good at this. For example, those two things. Okay. So this is going to take too long. I can do this in 5 minutes. Turn that around. Don't even accept that it's going to take too long. You can do this in 5 minutes, and you go. The same with, oh, I'm not good at this. We turn that around. We change the narrative from negative self-talk to positive self-talk. I'm great at everything I put my mind to. You see, when you are speaking to yourself, whether out loud or in your head, your subconscious mind believes you. It's like the saying, if that's what you think, then it's true. If that's what you believe, then it's true. So it doesn't matter if at that specific moment you really don't think you can do it. Condition, train yourself to turn those negative self-talk narratives around completely. And you will be so surprised, just try it. You will be so surprised that one day that thought will pop into your head and you will turn it around it will become automatic, because it's simply not helpful to you. You will get to a place where you can do anything that you decide you're going to do, and you're great at doing anything that you want to do. Even if you don't know how to do it initially, you will figure it out. There is no can't, won't, not sure. You figure it out. So please make a note of some of the things that automatically pop up for you and draw an arrow to the new positive self-talk. And I want you to actively practice that, because it makes a huge difference. How we talk to ourselves is so important. And I want to encourage you, angel students, to talk to yourself as if you are talking to somebody who you love entirely, because you should absolutely love yourself just as you love anybody else. You should love yourself with that same level of intensity that you do anybody else, and hold yourself up in a high regard, high standards that make sense to you and that make you feel like, oh, yes, that's me. Okay? That's what I want for you. Another tip where confidence is concerned is being prepared. Being prepared, being organized. Preparation is huge. Okay, so always be prepared. It could be that you are giving a presentation, you could be putting on a show for your family. It doesn't matter what it is, but when you know you've got something to do, be prepared. For example, say you were going to a musical lesson, or you were going swimming, or you were going on a trip. Think about the things that you would need. So you may have an instrument that you need to clean the tubes of, or you need to have all the different bits and everything put together, your sheet music, everything packed in your bag. You're going swimming, you need your trunks or swimming costume, your goggles, you need your towel, you might need a swimming cap. Always be prepared. And if you can prepare your things from the night before, if you have enough notice to do so, do so. Be prepared in anything. That way, you can concentrate on how you show up. You can concentrate in how you show out, because that's what's important. So if you're already prepared, you're not rushing about, worrying about what you need and is it there, is it clean, is it appropriate, is it ready, do I even have it? Because you are always prepared. So now, how do we remain confident in situations when we don't feel confident? I'm going to tell you. Okay, so I'm going to share 3 tips with you, all right? And I really want you to try them out. I want you to test them. I want you to take yourself out of your comfort zone and try them. Just try them. And try them perhaps with people that you're used to first, that you're close to, that you could even explain to them, look, I'm trying out some confidence building techniques. Can you just bear with me? Can you play along with me even? Okay. And then push yourself just a little bit further and do those things with complete strangers and in different situations and scenarios and environments where you don't necessarily know those people. So the first one, posture. We want to sit up. We want to sit up and we want to have our back straight, head up, shoulders down, okay? We want to have a very good symmetry about us that says, I'm paying attention. And in that paying attention, eye contact. Now, please don't do that. Don't do that. But when you are speaking and you are speaking clearly, maintain eye contact. And when somebody's talking to you, it's important to maintain eye contact. I know that at times it can seem a little bit weird. It might seem a little bit like you're just staring. But relax, breathe. Nobody knows what's going on in here except you. So keep a straight posture, but relax. Not stiff, like just, all right? Eye contact, it's okay to look away now and again to just reset yourself. But when somebody's talking to you, it's nice to show them that you are being attentive and you are listening to what they are saying. And the best way to communicate that without saying anything is to actively look at them so that they know you're paying attention to them. Just as if you were talking to someone, you would like to know that they are actually listening to you. And the best way for them to show you that without interrupting you is to look at you. Okay? Focus on your strengths. Focus on your strengths. Focus on any past achievements and experiences where you just felt, oh, that was amazing. And I showed up and I performed so well. This ties back into the positive self-talk. So when you're having any kind of moment or experience where you're perhaps out of your comfort zone and you're practicing these things and you're in a situation or an environment and you've got chatter going on, I want you to draw on that practice that you would have already been doing. When any negative self-talk comes up, you spin it on its head, okay? Fill that with positive self-talk. And remember, the way you talk about yourself to yourself, even when no one is listening, is extremely important. Angel students, speak to yourself as if you are speaking to somebody you love dearly. And lastly, always ask for help and support when you need it. There is always somebody around you that can guide you, that can help you. And if you want more support with being confident, you can ask a loved one to play along with you or to explain to you how they do it. Maybe they have some tips that they can help you with. and you can learn from so many people because everybody does their thing a little bit different. Everybody has their own flavour, their own little spice that they add to their own flair. So you will find what your confidence button is. You will find how you can turn it on whenever you need to. And the more you practice it, just like with any other muscle that we've spoken about here on this channel, it will get stronger and stronger. And with confidence, it will get to a point where you don't even have to think about it. It just is who you are. So angel students, as you go out there and you practice your confidence skills, remember, keep a straight back, no phone and tablet posture, straight back, a smile on your face, eye contact and a clear voice so people can hear you, because what you have to say matters and people want to hear what you have to say. They're interested in what you have to say. So thank you, angel students. Bye-bye.
Hi everybody, here's the video for Angel School. Follow me and do the breathing exercise first. Breathing in, breathing out through your nose. Now let's do a quick exercise for your joints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exercise your knee joint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Foot point straight, relax your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your elbow up, hands reach out far as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One hand's up, one hand's down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, slightly bend your knees, follow your elbow, look back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Arms straight, relax your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shoulders down, heads up. Neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. Let's do some push-ups. So building up your upper body strength and do some basic punch. Keep your hands on the floor. Body upright. Keep your body straight, legs straight. 1. All the way down, all the way up. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Good. Yeah, push up, just prepare for the punching technique. Remain 2 foot wide. Clench your face. Keep your face on your waist, slightly bend your knees. And look where you punch. Breathing in through your nose. Drop your shoulders and elbow. And breathing out. 3. 4. Feel the movement. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Little bit power. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Good. This time you can do 3.5 foot wide. First Kung Fu stance. 1, 2, 3. Bend your knees. Keep your back straight. Breathing in, look forward. Breathing out in your body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, same technique. You can keep your face on your waist, bend your knees, punch forward, slowly. 1, 2, breathing in, breathing out. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the first Kung Fu stance. Second one, combo stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. Front leg bends, back leg straight. 1, 2. When you feel stretched, focus on your breathing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. This time, because you did the first stance, marble, second stance, gumbo. Now you put them together, but with the punch. So marble, like elbow strike, hands front of your body. Change, gumbo, punch. Then marble, elbow, change, gumbo, punch. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Elbow and punch. Elbow and punch. Elbow and punch. Elbow and punch. Yeah. So when you do by yourself, you can do 10 times for each side. Okay. Let's do one more stretch. Slightly bend your knees. 1 foot forward. Lean forward from your hips. Stretch your hamstring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, change. Lean forward from your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. Relax your leg. Straight kick. Hands on your hips. Back straight, look straight, kick straight. 1. Breathing out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when you do by yourself, you can do 20 for each leg. Okay, let's do the last 5 breathing exercises. Start 2 foot wide. Foot down, knee straight down. Keep your body upright. Arms straight, fingers straight. And turn your hand to feel stretch. Breathing in through your nose. Like you're collecting all the good energy into your body. And breathing out, relax your shoulders, the elbow, hands pushing down. Imagine you're going to touch the floor. Breathing in, good energy into your body. And breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. Always breathing in and breathing out through your nose. Like moving meditation. Okay, last one. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay. All done.
Please like and subscribe so you can get more and more lessons.